Hello friends, in this video I'm going to discuss, do you know the limitations of your freedom of speech and expression? Definitely freedom of speech and expression is the fundamental right, and hence it is the birthright of every citizen of this country to express himself or herself freely. But many of us interpret it as the matter of absolute right, but it is not the fact. Rather, there are the reasonable restrictions on your freedom of speech and expression. So, in this video, I will discuss the reasonable restrictions applicable on your freedom of speech and expression. Let's start with the first question, that is, what is the meaning of freedom of speech and expression? Article 19, 1A of the Indian Constitution states freedom of speech and expression. Likewise, the Constitution of India guarantees the freedom of speech and expression to every citizen of this country, with the objective to provide a right to express one's feelings and opinions without any fear by means of words of mouth, writing, printing, pictures, or any other mode of such type. Because of this reason, the freedom of speech is considered as the most fundamental condition of liberty. Freedom of speech and expression is the integrity of a democratic governance, as it facilitates people to speak, give opinions without any fear of restrictions, retribution, or repression by the government. Freedom of speech helps people to organize and strengthen their personal, societal, and political stance, and also help others to become a responsible citizen of this country. But when the freedom of speech becomes threat for the country or defamatory, then it becomes dangerous. Therefore, for the security purpose, through First Amendment Act 1951, the reasonable restrictions have been imposed. Now the question is, what are reasonable restrictions? In reference to reasonable restrictions, Article 19, Clause 2 states that nothing in Subclause A of Clause 1 shall affect the operation of any existing law or prevent the state from making any law, insofar as such law imposes reasonable restrictions on the exercise of the right conferred by the said subclause in the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of India, the security of the state, friendly relation with foreign states, public order, decency or morality, or in relation to contempt of court, defamation, or incitement to an offense. Based on certain grounds, this article puts certain reasonable restrictions on the freedom of speech. Let's check out those grounds in brief. Security of the state. If there is any threat to the interest of the security of the state, reasonable restrictions can be imposed. Security threat may be violence intended to overthrow the government, waging of war, rebellion against the government, external aggression or war, etc. Next, friendly relation with foreign states. If someone is intended to jeopardize the friendly relation of India with other states, in such a case, reasonable restriction can be applied. Next, public order. If someone intentionally attempts to disturb the public peace, safety, and tranquility, then reasonable restrictions can be imposed. Next, decency and morality. If someone violates the decency and morality in a society, reasonable restrictions can be imposed. However, the parameter of morality varies from time to time and from place to place. Next, contempt of court. Freedom of speech doesn't permit contempt of court and hence imposes reasonable restrictions on it. Next, defamation. The freedom of speech and expression doesn't permit any person to make any statement that injures the reputation of another. Next, incitement to an offense. Such reasonable restriction prohibits a person from making any statement that incites people to commit an offense. Last but not the least, that is, sovereignty and integrity of India. This ground was added later, that is by the 16th Constitutional Amendment Act 1963. This reasonable restriction prohibits any person from making the statements that challenge the integrity and sovereignty of India. So this is all about the reasonable restrictions that may be imposed on freedom of speech and expression.